Friends, just a reminder that Clutter Free Academy is supported by friends like you. If this is helpful to you, I would invite you to consider supporting us for $5 a month. All you have to do is go to Kathi.link/copy. That's KATHI.link/copy. I'll also have that in our show notes. It's just a fun way to be able to partner with us. We love to get input from the people who are contributing, and we're just so grateful for everybody who has come alongside the show. Okay, speaking of the show, let's do this, friends. Well, hey, friends, welcome to Clutter Free Academy, where our goal is to help you take small, doable steps to live every day with less clutter and more life. And guys, we're in the thick of it. We are in the thick of low by July. And can I tell you what happens about this time when I'm in low by July? I want to buy all the things. I want to suddenly redo my entire wardrobe. I want to buy all the foods at my favorite Asian market that I've never tried before and I don't know how to cook. And one of the things that I really want to do is suddenly I want to redecorate my entire house. I want everything to be new. I want everything to be fun. And if you are feeling a similar itch, one, I want you to know you are not alone. Because, friends, we've been talking all month about discovering what we already have in the kitchen, in the beauty cabinet, in the closet. But there's one area that often gets skipped, the home itself. So I brought in the expert of experts, okay? Because here's the thing, most of us have beautiful things in our home. We've just stopped seeing them. And so, guys, I have Tenneil Register. Now, Tenneil and I work together. She is the third leg of the Roger Kathi, KathiLipp.com stool. But she has her own life in R7 Reclaimed where she takes beautiful things, or I should say, she takes things and makes sure to really show off their beauty. And so, first of all, Tenneil, welcome back to the podcast. You are a fan favorite, or a listener favorite, I should say. Fan is such a weird word. So we're going to say listener favorite. And Tenneil, before we get into the practical stuff, what do you see when you walk into someone's home? What do most people miss about what they already have?
Ooh, I would say that the thing that we miss is how the space is used together. So, like the white space in between that really helps something breathe and tell a story is what we
Mm,
usually stop seeing in our own house.
okay. So wait, so you're saying we need that white space backdrop in order to see what we have? Is that what you're saying? Okay. I wanted to
Yes.
make sure I understood. Guys, she was nodding. I'm sorry. I can see her on video. Some of you can't because you're not on YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
But
Tenneil, you're on a podcast. Talk.
no, it's okay. I was saying, "Oh, you're saying the right thing." No, you are just fine. Um so my question is then, how do we do that? Like, what does when you are looking at that, what do you take away in order to create that blank space?
Yeah. So, I mean, the obvious answer is the things that you're not using right then. So, one
Mhm.
example would be my entryway. I just realized like the winter coats, a couple of them are still
Mm.
hanging there. Now, mind you, in Iowa, it was still really cold in May here for some reason. And so
Yes.
it's more like a few weeks, not a few months.
Mhm.
But I forgot when I removed those, like I have a beautiful basket there for setting things in and out, and that my purse looks really pretty on the hook if it's not surrounded by things. And so it's kind of like just whittling back down to your favorite everyday objects when we get our
Mhm.
not favorite everyday objects kind of out of the way and contained.
Okay. So I I love that because yeah, the clutter can become the backdrop and can become invisible until you have somebody over and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize." Uh I would say most of us cluttery people think we'd like to become minimalists. It's not really true. We're maximalists at heart, and we love our stuff and we love to be surrounded by our stuff. But there's an order to it, right? So if you enjoy things, how do you have those in your home in a way that's not cluttery, but you still get to enjoy all of it?
Yeah. So I think of it as like layering, and you're almost going to set up um kind of like some props, right? Set up the scene that you want your life to live in instead of trying to eliminate everything in sight and trying to discipline yourself to not want pretty things. Just put some purpose and some order to the pretty things and let yourself live in your maximalist life in a way that works. If it functions and it makes you happy, then it doesn't have to be minimal.
Yeah, I will never be a minimalist. I just won't.
Yeah.
I practice some of those tenets when we're in the RV. Our decor is very minimalistic, and even when I try to do that, Roger's like, I need you to move this table runner. This is not going to work because this is my workstation. I'm like, fine, fine, fine. So I have to keep the pretty outside. Like when we have a table out there, I've got a pretty, wipeable, tablecloth, those kind of things.
Yeah.
But at home, I have to remember the strict decor pieces, I also need to keep minimal. I need to keep things useful and beautiful. And those are my
Right.
favorite objects anyway. The things that are I use, but they're also beautiful. And I have lived this with Tenneil, you guys. Like Tenneil came to my house and I was looking for a better backdrop here for my podcasting, and not only did she do that, she kind of almost rearranged everything she could downstairs as well, with my permission. No, not permission. With my please, please help me out. That's why I no longer have a couch in my kitchen, even though I loved it there. It was not as useful as it could have been in the living room. So when we have people over, we have a lot of people over, so we need three couches in there. But I want to talk about shopping your own home. And I feel like Low by July is the perfect time to do this because we want new and fresh, but we are very conscious of not bringing new things into our house. So, how do you start? Well, let me say, are there different kinds of house shopping or home shopping, I should say, shopping your own home that people should try?
Yeah. So, one way to do it is if you're already working in a space like Kathy, we were trying to work in your office.
Hmm.
So, we walked through your home almost like we were walking through someone else's estate sale. And we were looking for pieces of a certain size, right? Like I was
Yeah.
looking for something to hang on the wall that would be a large statement piece. So we
Hmm.
found the basket, right? Like kind of
Yeah.
sometimes you're looking for something of a certain size, color, or texture, like you would do when you're
Mhm.
shopping. Other
Mm.
times might be you walking through your home, like you're walking through someone else's home and looking for your favorite things. And are they highlighted as your favorite things? Are they in a place that's usable? And so I want to run with this table runner idea. If you have a table runner that you love and it's not working on the table, two things.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a table runner, have a basket, a bucket, a crock, something nearby where you can quickly roll that table runner up and have it sitting in it as
Mm.
like it
Okay.
looks just as decorative in it as it does laid out on the table. And then in that case, if it's not working on the table, could it work as a scarf on a dresser or something like that, a dust cover
Yeah.
somewhere else? And then swap. What do I need on the table? Well, maybe I just need a tray that collects all the things that can slide out of the way when the table is a workspace.
I will tell you what I have done with that table runner, because this is, what do you call it? The kind of seating that you would have, say, in a diner. Why can't I think of that name? Two benches, covered benches. Anyway, I'm using it as the drape on the back of one of those benches.
Okay,
And I
like a booth type of bench or
yeah, booth. There we go. Why could I not think of that word? You guys, I have not drank enough water this morning. Okay. So, yes, it's the booth style seating. And so I'm using it on the back of one of those because I love this. I don't it wasn't even supposed to be a table runner at first. I don't even know what it's supposed to be. It's kind of like one of those Turkish cloths. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about?
mhm.
Yeah, but it's smaller than that. But I have it on there because the RV is muted browns and I am not a muted person. And so this is a pop of oranges that I just love. I've got orange and turquoise all through there. So yeah, using things in an unexpected way is a really fun. You've taught me that, it's like, what are you using your storage for? What are you doing with those things? Okay. Some other ideas when it comes to rearranging.
Yeah, I think you just named a great one, and that's storage. When I walk through the house, are there some pieces that I love in certain seasons, and I should just put it away for a little bit, just quiet the
Mm,
room depending on the season, right? And so kind
yeah.
of looking at things that way. Is there something that could be moved out to a patio space? In our case, we have RVs, something that could be used in an RV. Like just really looking like, are my favorite things being used in my favorite way? And so,
I I'm just thinking, what if we had I'm thinking I need to challenge myself. Like, what are my top 10, 20 favorite things in my home?
mm,
And like, I have a stoneware pitcher that has a rabbit on it. And it's like one of my favorite things in the world. Is that being highlighted in the way I would want it to be highlighted? Or is it just becoming visual clutter because it's with a bunch of other stuff? The curation, which is like my favorite word in the world, how, are the things that I love being used? And is there a category of things I love that I don't have in my home? I don't know, I does that hold any weight or do you feel like that is not the way to go?
well, I do kind of wonder if you can't walk into a room and name your top 3 to 5 things you love
Mm,
in that room, then that's
mhm.
a sign that your room is not serving you. It's just
Yeah.
existing. And we do sometimes hear people say, like, no, I hate everything in there. Well, at some
Yeah.
point, you bought these. So there has to be
Right.
something in the room that you like. Also, if we just hate everything in the room, then we would just, have a dumpster delivered, we would get rid of it all, right?
Yes.
So that's probably not true. It's a true of how we're feeling, but it's probably more the way the room
Mm,
is put together, the way you're using it, than it is necessarily about each object. So I do think breaking down um, to really see individual pieces. Again, looking
yeah.
at it like you're at someone else's estate store where you're just looking
Mhm.
for a few select items, or taking a picture, right? And looking at the picture and what sticks out to you that you love, and which things do you realize from looking at that picture they're in the wrong room, they're in the wrong place, they're in the wrong
Yeah.
season, or they're in the wrong house. I need to send them somewhere else. I don't want them anymore.
Yeah, there is a creep that happens, right? You've come in, you've done the room, you think it looks great, and then other things start to creep in. Maybe it's that green tray that normally you just had out at Christmas, but you kind of forgot about it, and so it's just stayed out. And it's neither here nor there. It's happened to you. And
Mhm.
so I love the nester who talks about quieting the room and, pulling things off some of that creep. And I love what you did here where you didn't get rid of my stuff. We didn't go out and buy stuff. We just put things in new places that they weren't in before. And it made everything feel fresh and new. And it's probably time for me to do that again with, what I've got here because I love it, but I have other things I love too. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you I love you one of the tips you give is walk through the room pretending you just moved in. Like, what would you keep? What would you give away? And I think that's such a great
Right.
thing. Any other advice you would have as we do that? And then we're gonna take a quick break.
So I think when you're walking through, don't do it in the moment. Almost take a notepad or take pictures
Okay.
of like, this is what I would do on this walkthrough part before you start the
Mm.
action steps.
Okay. So,
Otherwise, if we start doing it right away, we end up with piles everywhere that we
yeah,
don't
that's
have a
true.
purpose for. So when we come back from break, let's talk through like the strategy of how to do that walkthrough followed by action steps.
Okay. We'll take a quick break and we'll come right back. Friends, are you part of the Clutter Free group, the free group where we talk about all these things? We go a little deeper, we offer other hints. We've got a great team in there who are showing you their before and afters because they have lived this. Go over to Facebook, search Kathi Lipp's Clutter Free Academy. We just discovered that there are other Clutter Free Academy groups. If you don't see Kathi Lips, then you know it's not the right group. Ask to join. We're going to ask you a couple of questions because we just want to make sure we have no bots in that group. We just want great humans. And this is your very first step after the podcast, your very next step to starting your clutter free life. Okay, Tenneil, you're going to teach us how to do a walkthrough of our house so that we know what we have and we are putting things where they can be loved and appreciated.
Yeah. So, okay, we walked through, we've already talked about the mindset to that, right? We're either going to take pictures, think of it as an estate sale, or like you just moved in. So then once you have done that full walkthrough, you've let your mind just sort of wander, give yourself permission to dream a little bit. Then we're going to need a place where we start to stage or pull items out, right? So this might be using like the guest bed as a place to, set things down. The older I'm getting, the more I have a love of a quick pop up folding plastic table like you would use
Ah,
outside or
yes.
for company or whatever, like just quick popping up a 4-foot one of those, not like an 8-foot one where I can't walk around it or it becomes
Hmm.
overwhelming, but just to have like a very temporary storage space to set things. When I was younger, I think I probably just put them on the floor, but I don't want to bend over, pick it up and look as much. And I think too, it like keeps it as a very temporary zone if I'm keeping them all on
Mm,
the table. So maybe you're pulling your favorite things to this table on one half of it. And on the other half, you have sort of like your maybes of
okay.
things that I might use, I might not. And then have a box or a bag next to it where you're going to kind of put those no's, because while we're
Right.
doing this, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then after we've done that, we're going to start looking like for reassignment. Does this need a new place in this room? Does it need a new place in another room? And if the
Hmm.
question to either of those is like no and no, then it needs to be shuffled over to the giveaway box, right? Like
Yeah.
if I don't love it enough to find a spot in this room and I walk through my house and I don't find a purpose for it there, then I can keep going. The fun part on the reassignment is the creative part, right? Like
Hmm.
your favorite rabbit picture. Are there other ways that you can be using it? Like, could it hold something, right? Could there be
Right.
something coming out of it? Could it be, used for something very practically? Like, kind of
Hmm.
starting to think through those things, like your table runner, you found a spot on the back of a chair for it. And then I think also there should be one more little category in there. Should this be a seasonal item, right? Like,
Yeah.
give yourself that option of a seasonal item. And then after you kind of start that reassignment, then you're going to go through and edit, right? Like what's left in here, can I get rid of it? And what you're going to
Hmm.
find is this is going to have a domino effect. When you decide that you want to move that picture to, you know, a a sofa table in the hallway, you're going to soon want that hallway to look its best. So you're going to start that
Hmm.
process in that room too. So it's really important to give yourself like a timeline that I'm only going to do this for X amount of time. Right. And
Right.
then I'm going to put away the folding table and this game's going to be done. But I think it's a great way during low buy July to like literally set your things out on a table for you to shop. And the repurposing effect that it has when you start to think through what a container could hold or how something could function differently is a really fun game. And think really practically, like, could it hold paper plates? Could it hold paper towels? Like things that I use when I
Mm.
have people over or objects that I use every day. So I love to use things, unique items as bookends because I have a lot of books around the house. So in every
Mhm.
room, I try to create a place where whatever books I'm kind of reading, kind of looking at, kind of loving,
Yeah.
where those can go. So books are an important thing all through my house.
Give me an idea of a bookend that you've used that wasn't meant to be a bookend.
Yeah. So, like, when you have like weighted statues,
Mhm.
a figurine that you collected, even the picture could become a bookend, right? If it's holding
Got
those
it.
up. Behind me, you can see there's an architectural salvage piece as a bookend on one
Mhm.
end and a vase from China on the other end. So,
Very cool. Okay. Now, I know that we've just gone through kind of a decluttering, shifting, where could I use this in a new place? What about those of us who don't feel confident in our decorating abilities? Where would you encourage them to get inspiration or to look to find new ways of doing things?
yeah. So I think a search by object, like type in like 20 different ways to use a picture and then
I would have
see
never
what
thought
pops
of
up.
that.
Right? Like, see
Okay.
what comes up to you, and then, learn to look at things by their size, by their shape, and by their
Mhm.
color.
Yeah.
Because if my brain says, "Where could I use a basket?" That's pretty limiting. If my
Right.
brain says, "Where could I use something about this big, 1 foot by 2
Mhm.
foot, that holds objects and has some texture to it?" It just kinda opens up your brain to a more artistic look at the object. And
Okay,
of
that's
course,
really interesting.
come to our clutter free group and drop a picture and tag me in it, and I'll
Yes.
give you some ideas.
Oh, I love that free advice. Okay, you know what? We should do that as a monthly thing. It's, Tenneil's corner where she could just give you advice about where you could use things. I love that
Bring it
idea.
back as a game show. Let's play a game show. Show us your
Yes, I
object. We'll
love
all
that
come up with a way.
so much. Okay, I'm gonna play it. Yeah, because it's so fun to walk into somebody's house and see how they've used things in a different, unusual way. I love
Mhm.
that idea. Uh, Tennille, if somebody is really struggling with, I love this piece, but I don't feel like it goes in my house anywhere. What would you say to that person?
So I would try putting that piece away for 30 days and
Okay.
see if you really love it so much to find a new way to use it. Because I sort of
Mhm.
bet getting it out of sight, you will either miss it in a way that you decide where it fits,
Mhm.
or you'll be ready to let it go. And then also,
Okay.
like, can you change it? Does it need to be a different color? Could you paint it? Could you make something new out of it? That kind of thing.
It one of my favorite pieces I ever saw was my friend had this little bust statue, and she really liked the shape of it, but she kept trying it places, and it just faded into the background because it was white. She had white walls. She painted it like a hot turquoise. And it's like one of the best things in her house. I love it. And she moves it all the time. And that's how I know she loves it, is because it's always popping up in a new place. Okay. Here's a game I want to ask you. What are some of the most unusual ways that you have used items in your own home? Because I know you've got some stories. I want to hear that.
Well, a favorite one that we've probably talked about, I don't know if we've talked about it here on the podcast. In our
Okay.
Clutter Free for Life paid group, we've seen a
Mhm.
lot of my unique pieces, but maybe not
Yes.
as much here on the podcast. So, um, I use like old hardware bins. So, like big handmade
Mhm.
wooden boxes are used for our shoes. Um,
Yeah.
So that's a big one that when you walk into our
In
house.
your front entryway, right?
Yes, in my front
Yeah,
entryway, yep. Mhm.
yeah.
So that, the shoes all have a place, and it's such a decorative piece that you don't feel like you're looking at a pile of shoes. Um, I also have turned, like, old trim from around a door,
Mhm.
into a shelf that goes up on the wall, that I
Oh,
put, like, my collection of Crocs in. So those would
okay.
be, I think, some of them. I'm sitting here in my office, and I don't know what it is, but I guess it's a sifter for, like, a piece of
Yeah.
old machinery, but it has, like, a
Uh-huh.
nice grate on it, and it's my, like, most people would use a bulletin board, but I have clothespins holding things onto the
Oh,
wire,
okay.
and it has 4 compartments to it. And so once upon a
Mm,
time, those were my 4 categories for urgent versus important, when I was working through
okay.
the 7 habits, you know? So, my walls is probably where I use the most unique, pieces because I really like to have we don't have a ton of square footage, and I like to have it open for people and pets and feet and the backpacks that end up on the floor, and so I try to really use unique pieces on my walls if I can.
Well, and I love when you use a unique piece, you can say, "Hey, that's where we keep the blank." So, instead of, "Oh, it's the plastic bin," it's, "No, this is unusual," and so you can say that to your kids, like, "We know we keep our backstop stock of coffee in the rooster pail. We've got a pail
Right.
that somebody hand painted a rooster on, and we've got it in there." And so just having those unique and I love that so much of our homes have a story. And, even if you just bought it at a flea market, like you don't know the entire story behind it, but that was acquired with love.
Right.
And, it makes a big difference in a home, right?
Yeah, and I love to use things like that, like a picnic basket, is great for holding extra objects. We use, like, little metal tool trays to keep, like, the playing cards and the notepad and the pens so that when somebody
Mm.
goes to the table to play a game, it's all together. So I try to really just use objects, rather than decorations, and your house becomes really decorative if you're using unique pieces.
Guys, if you want some advice for your home, come into the Clutter Free group, tag Tenneil. So her name's Tenneil Register. She must be the only Tenneil we have in the group. So it would be very easy. Is your Tenneil spelled the same way as Captain and Tenneil?
It's not. So mine's like the
Oh,
compound
okay.
word, like tin and Neil put
Ne
together.
That's how when I'm typing it, that's exactly how I type it, Tin and Neil. That's so funny. Okay, guys, this is just to say, in July, we are not buying like we do. It's a rest for us. It's a rest for our brains, and it's an opportunity to see what you have in your home. It's so funny. This is a spoon rest, but I don't have any of these colors in my home. So it's my coffee trivet. And it's if you can't
Yes.
see it, guys, it's got greens and oranges, which are my favorite colors, but my kitchens are blue and white. So I've moved that into my office because I'm surrounded by all my favorite colors in here. So that's not the most innovative thing, but I was just looking. I'm like, I am doing something different. Okay, this is a different funny one. This is the cutest business card holder. It's red metal, but I don't use business cards. I keep all of my Burt's Bees and all of that stuff in here. You
Oh,
only see
yeah,
one
that's
in there
great.
right now,
That's a
but
great idea.
it's just a little something, but I want things that are beautiful and useful. And that's what my home I want it to be. Trying to remember the name of he's an art deco designer, William. I can't remember, but he said, surround yourself with things that are useful and beautiful. If you're already using it, figure out a way to make it beautiful. Even a placement can make something more beautiful than it was, just by how you're highlighting it. Tenneil, thank you so much. I love that your brain works differently than my brain so that we can come together and say, you don't need all of that clutter and you can create beauty in your home. I just love it. Friends, you've been listening to Clutter Free Academy. I'm Kathi Lipp. Now, go create the clutter free life you've always wanted to live.